Thank you very much. I'm Dr. David Hampton, and I am founder and chief executive of CamStent. We're a Cambridge-based medical technology company. We're improving patient outcomes while we decrease hospital costs. CamStent makes coatings that go on medical devices to prevent hospital-acquired infections. This is an enormous problem globally, costs the NHS over £1 billion a year, and thousands of lives associated lost. CamStent's initial product targets a major subset of this, a market of £375 million globally. We're in a market where there is no effective competition available for the hospitals. We're seeking £500,000 at a valuation of £1.8 million. We're EIS eligible, and we expect to bring our first product to market by the end of next year. What's the human story behind all those numbers? I was reading the New York Times over the weekend. They were talking about a woman who had a heart attack. She was hospitalized. She got the clot removed. She got a stent put in. She expected to be back with her family within 4 days. In fact, she got a hospital-acquired infection, and she stayed in the hospital for 4 weeks. 4 weeks of unnecessary treatment, 4 weeks of unreimbursable costs to the hospital in the U.S. medical system. Similar thing goes on in the NHS. Hospital-acquired infections affect the young, the old, the immunocompromised. It costs an average of 2.5 extra days of 2.5 times extra hospitalization, and 3 times excess hospital cost. The House of Commons in 2009 said that if hospital-acquired infection rates could be reduced by just 10%, the NHS would save £100 million a year. We can't expect zero infection, they said, but we can have an ambition of zero tolerance for those infections. CamStent targets the major cause of hospital-acquired infections. So if you've been in the hospital, you may recognize this. It's standard of care. It's a urinary catheter. It's used to drain the bladder in 25% of all patients entering the hospital. Simple silicone celastic tube. They're made in Malaysia. They cost about £3 each, $100 million a year, £300 million global market. They're also a highly infectious device with 3% per day incidence of infection. So what does that mean? If we had a group of 25 people who got the catheter, the next day someone would have an infection, and the day after someone else, and in a month all of them would have an infection. It's 6 extra days hospitalization. It's 1.3 million pounds. It's 1.3 thousand pounds of excess cost for every patient that gets this. The government has recognized this is a problem. They've asked for an effective solution. They're willing to reimburse up to £12 per unit for an effective antimicrobial catheter. One doesn't exist. This is what's going to pull our product into the market. CamStent's technology is a coating that goes onto the catheter. It prevents the catheter surface from being colonized with urinary tract bacteria. It simply makes the surface inhospitable rather than poisoning the bacteria after they've already established themselves. Forms a smooth, stable surface over the catheter, strong, flexible adhesion. It's drug-free, does not promote antibiotic resistance, no associated toxins. It's inexpensive. It's a simple dip dry process to put the coating on the catheter, off to sterilization, and onto market. And it's effective. If you look at the bottom row of pictures, the top of each row is the uncoated catheter, and you can see the red fluorescing. These are urinary tract bacteria, 2 common bacteria left and right. Below that is the coated catheter made by CamStent, and you can see that those remain largely black. If you actually quantify the amount of red in there, you can see that the catheters rapidly get coated with bacteria over a period of 5, then 10 days, where the CamStent catheter remains largely uncolonized for that entire period. This is an 80% reduction in the number of bacteria on the surface. That's a direct interruption in the process that leads to the catheter-acquired infection. How does it perform in contrast to the best in market? That would be the barred silver eluting catheter, which again poisons it by eluting silver toxin. Again, here we see the 2 key bacteria at 10 days. An uncoated catheter in black, the barred catheter in gray, the CamStent in white. And you can see again, replicated after 10 days, that the Bardex has lost effectiveness while the CamStent remains 80% effective. So we have something that's safe, that's effective, that works, that addresses an enormous problem. We're ready for pilot production. We're ready to take this to clinical validation. We're ready to go to market. We have broad intellectual property protection, one issued patent that prevents blood and protein attachment to surfaces of medical devices, another one for an antimicrobial. The urinary tract material we're licensing from the University of Nottingham. It's a 6% license on CamStent revenues, whether we're sub-licensing or whether we manufacture the catheters ourselves. So it's pretty minimal. We have an experienced organization in place, have been together for a few years. I have 27 years experience in the medical device industry, most recently bringing new products to market with Medtronic before I left to found CamStent in 2009. John Mayfield, our CFO, our board of directors, all have deep experience with medical products, with startup businesses, with taking successful businesses to an exit. One of them, Paul White, was head of Barts and the London Trust, head of BT Healthcare, and he's our voice to the customer and really understands this. A full-time development team in place, Alan Collins, who came to us from Dow Corning, who's moving things into production, Ian Barlow running our chemistry up in Sheffield, Helga Mikkelsen running our microbiology in Cambridge. Together, we're moving this product towards market entry next year. It follows pretty much a process that you'd expect for medical products, where you do the R&D, you do the testing, move into clinical trials, regulatory, and then into manufacture. We're about halfway through that process. We've established a pilot production facility up in Sheffield where we can do the dip dry coating. We're preparing the documentation in a way it'll get us regulatory approval. Clinical trial plans are approved at the University of Southampton. This is an important center because they did the key studies that showed that existing antimicrobial catheters are ineffective. CamStent's had just over £1 million invested in it over the last 3 years, 2 equity rounds. We also have had a technology strategy board grant, non-dilutive, which continues through January, which helps to fund us. We had a small bridge round of $75K, and I say right now we're looking at a pre-money valuation of $1.8 million. We're looking to raise $500,000. That is about half subscribed now. It's for production, clinical trials, CE mark, regulatory testing. You can see the money is going right where it counts in producing the product and collecting the evidence we need to go to market. Less than 20% being spent on admin, accounting, and overhead. There's 2 ways that we can take this to market, either a licensing model or a manufacturing model. You can imagine a license where we would get 10% of the unit sales. So if we sold 1 million catheters, we got 10% of the revenue. CamStent would get 1.2 million. That would percolate down to about £1.13 per catheter for every one we sold. Alternatively, we could manufacture the catheter ourselves. It would take about $500,000 upfront investment. We would get the whole 12 million revenue, but then we would probably give away about 21% to distribution. The cost to manufacture the catheters is pretty minimal. We would get about $555 per unit. Break even between the 2 scenarios is around 100,000 units. We show 72,000 here. But this can be a profitable business either way we go at it. So our revenue forecasts really call for us to project this product into the market 1 million units the first year. That's 1% of the market, then 5 million, then 9 million. The forecast, which is available in the prospectus, tracks through by year 3. By a license model, we would make about £8 million a year. Using the manufacturing model, we would make about 37 million, depending on which way we went. Obviously, with numbers like this, we become an attractive acquisition or partner for other companies. We would envision that a catheter manufacturer, like a Bard, a Cook, a Bard Cook Teleflex may have an interest. A material supplier like Dow or BASF, a specialist coating company like Surmodics. All of those would potentially have an interest in us as an exit. We have 2 catheter companies who are in negotiation with us now for an early look at coated samples. These are both larger than 2 billion market cap companies. We can grow the business with superior coating products, leveraging our IP, leveraging our team and facilities to enter markets in orthopedics, in stents, and other medical products. So CamStent is a company that makes coatings for medical devices that prevent attachment of biological products, particularly prevents hospital-acquired infections. We're pre-market, ready for clinical trial, ready to go to market by the end of next year. 500,000 sought, about half received right now, 1.8 million valuation. We are EIS eligible. We will get the clinical trial complete, the catheter is ready, the secondary opportunities develop. Look forward to talking to you about it, and thank you very much.